ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome you all for the third part of Beyond Birth and Death book reading sessions. We are reading from the book Beyond Birth and Death by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are in chapter number 2, Elevation at Death. There are different kinds of transcendentalists who are called yogis, hatha yogis, jnana yogis, dhyana yogis, and bhakti yogis. And all of them are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The word yoga means to link up, and the yoga systems are meant to enable us to link with the transcendental world. As mentioned in the previous chapter, originally we are all connected to the Supreme Lord, but now we have been affected by material contamination. The process is that we have to return to the spiritual world, and that process of linking up is called yoga. Another meaning of the word yoga is plus. At the present moment, we are minus God or minus Supreme. When we add Krishna or God to our lives, this human form of life becomes perfect. At the time of death, we have to finish that process of perfection. During our lifetime, we have to practice the method of approaching that perfection so that at the time of death, when we have to give up this material body, that perfection can be realized. So Srila Prabhupada mentions briefly about what is yoga, right? So there are different kinds of yoga systems in our culture. There is hatha yoga, there is jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, and bhakti yoga, which is the culmination of all yoga systems. And all these yogis, whether hatha yogi or jnana yogi or dhyana yogi or bhakti yogi, all of them are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The word yoga means to link up. And another meaning Srila Prabhupada gives, that yoga means plus. So now at present, we are out of the spiritual world. We are in the material world. So the goal of life should be to go back to the spiritual world. And for that, we have to adopt the process of linking ourselves with the Supreme. And the meaning of yoga also is plus. And at present, we are minus God. How we are minus God? Because the concept of God itself is missing from the human society. Many people, they are becoming atheists. Because there is no proper direction. Most of the population thinks that God is some mythology. There is no entity exists as God. Some people say God, the word God is created by some people to scare some category of people from just to uh, avoid sinning. Some people, if they are doing some sins, if you tell them God is watching you, God will punish you, then they will not do the sin. So some people think that this is the reason why the concept of God came into existence. Right? But in fact, just like this material world exists, just like we exist, the spiritual world exists, and the supreme living entity, the supreme Lord, also exists. Right? So at the present moment, we are minus God. God is not there in the picture, or minus the supreme. When we add Krishna or God to our lives, this human form of life becomes perfect. The human form of life is perfect when Krishna is in the picture, when Krishna is in our lives. If our life is minus Krishna, then our life is miserable. It is not a perfect life, it is not a happy life. So now, if one has to transfer oneself to the spiritual world, to the Supreme, the criterion is that at the point of death, we have to remember the Supreme Lord. Then only we'll be able to go to the spiritual world. At the time of death, we have to finish that process of perfection. During our lifetime, we have to practice the method of approaching that perfection, so that at the time of death, when we have to give up this material body, that perfection can be realized. Prayana kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva ध्रुवोर मध्ये प्राणमावेश सम्यक satam param purusham upaiti divyam. Attaining the Supreme is a chapter in Bhagavad Gita, the 8th chapter. There, Lord Krishna says, one who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and in full devotion engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as a student studies a subject for 4 or 5 years and then takes his examination and receives a degree, similarly, with the subject of life, if we practice during our lives for the examination at the time of death, and if we pass the examination, we are transferred to the spiritual world. Our whole life is examined at the time of death, and the entire life is preparation for that final exam. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरम tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitah. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So this is the criteria for what kind of life I will get in my next birth. This is the criteria. Whatever state of life you remember at the point of death, at the point of leaving this material body, whatever comes to our mind, same state of body, life we will get in our next birth. There is a Bengali proverb that says that whatever one does for perfection will be tested at the time of his death. Bhajan kar le, sadhan kar le, murtya jaan le hai. So whatever bhajan, sadhan or whatever you have done, it will be tested marte janle hai at the time of death, the time of dying. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that one should do when giving up, what one should do. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes what one should do when giving up the body. For the Dhyana Yogi, meditator, Shri Krishna speaks the following verses. Yadaksharam veda vido vadanti Vishanti yadyatayo vitaragaha yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe sarvadvarani samyamya manohridhi niruddhya cha मूर्ध्नि आधायात्मनः प्राणम आस्थितो yogadharanam. Persons learned in the Vedas who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Brahman is the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. Yad icchanto brahmacharyam charanti. With this desire, one follows celibacy. I shall now explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Sarvadvarani samyamya manohridi niruddhya cha murdhni adhayat manah pranam astito yoga dharanam.
Can you
In the
explain
yoga
in Hindi?
system, this process is called pratyahara, which means just the opposite. Although during life the eyes are engaged in seeing worldly beauty, at death one has to retract the senses from their objects and see the beauty within. Similarly, the ears are accustomed to hearing so many sounds in the world. But at the moment of death, one has to hear the transcendental Omkara from within. Om ittekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran yah prayati tyajam deham sayati paramam gatim. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly
Guruji,
reach the spiritual planets.
Guruji,
Hare Krishna.
Guruji, can you explain in Hindi?
This class is, we are conducting only in the English language. Once in Hindi language we start, the whole class will be in Hindi.
When you start class in Hindi?
Yeah, you'll get to know in the groups whenever we have the Hindi speaking speakers. So we'll be starting, and till then, if you can connect to English, you can attend. Otherwise, you can wait for some time.
Okay, can I leave because I can't understand anything?
Yes, excuse me.
Can I leave because I can't understand
Yes, yes,
anything?
yes. You can leave. You can leave.
Okay, धन्यवाद.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om ittekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran yah prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. In this way, all the senses have to be stopped in their external activities and concentrated on the form of Vishnu Murti, the form of God. The mind is very turbulent, but it has to be fixed on the Lord in the heart. When the mind is fixed within the heart and the life air is transferred to the top of the head, one can attain perfection of yoga. At this point, the yogi determines where he is to go. In the material universe, there are innumerable planets, and beyond this universe, there is the spiritual world, the spiritual universe. The yogis have information of these places from Vedic literatures. Just as one going to America can get some idea what the country is like by reading books, one can also have knowledge of the spiritual planets by reading Vedic literatures. The yogi knows all these descriptions and he can transfer himself to any planet he likes without the help of spaceships. Space travel by mechanical means is not the accepted process for elevation to the other planets. Perhaps with the great deal of time, effort, and money, a few men may be able to reach other planets by material means, spaceships, space suits, etc. But this is a very cumbersome and impractical method. In any case, it is not possible to go beyond the material universe by mechanical means. The generally accepted method for transferal to higher planets is the practice of the meditational yoga system or jnana system. The bhakti yoga system, however, is not to be practiced for transferal to any material planet. For those who are servants of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, are not interested in any planets in this material world because they know that on whatever planet one enters in the material sky, the four principles of birth, death, old age, and disease are present. A Brahma Bhuvanaloka Punaravartino Arjuna. Even if you go to the Brahmaloka also, which is the topmost planetary system in this universe, one has to come back when once the credits of the piety is finished. Right? So anywhere in this material universe, any planet in this material world, there is the danger of birth, death, old age, and disease. One can never escape these four miseries, these four problems of life, unless one goes out of the material sky. On higher planets, the duration of life may be longer than on this earth, but death is there nonetheless. By material universe, we refer to those planets where birth, old age, disease, and death reside. And by spiritual universe, we refer to those planets where there is no birth, old age, disease, and death. Those who are intelligent do not try to elevate themselves to any planet within the material universe. Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful example, a very simple example. Fish out of water, right? You take a fish out of water and now you want to give comfort, all kinds of material comfort to the fish, right? You give the fish a very soft cushioned bed. You give it for smoking, drinking, wine. Give very nice foodstuffs from five-star hotels. Put a AC. But will the fish be comfortable in such situation? However, although all the comforts are present, but still the fish is not happy, and in fact it will die. Despite all these material comforts, right? It will die. Why? Because its real habitat is water. The fish is made in such a way that it can live in the water. Without water, it will die. And this is the reason why we are suffering. All the living entities in this material world are suffering. Why? Because we are like the fish out of water. How much ever facilities you give to the fish, fish will suffer, and die. Similarly, how much ever facilities we try to enjoy in this material world, we will suffer, suffer, suffer and die, and again take birth and again die. Because this is not our real home, our real atmosphere where we are happy, where we are 24 hours satisfied, is the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, we don't find there is repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. These four problems of life do not exist in the spiritual world. These problems exist in the material world. Right? So that is why in the first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, everyone's goal in life should be to go back to the spiritual world. Just like put the fish again back into water, the fish will happily swim and go. Right? So we are also happy when we are in the spiritual world. Right? That is why even a common man, right, in this material world, the temples where the representation of the Lord, the Archa Vigraha, is worshipped. And that Archa Vigraha is same as the deity, as the Lord who is in the spiritual world. And that is why even the common man who visits a temple, he finds that place very, very comfortable and very peace-giving to his mind. Even a common man says that I see there are very good positive vibrations in this place. Why? Because all these temples are the lobbies of Vaikuntha. You just get a glimpse of the ecstasy, of the feeling of the spiritual world. Right? So that is why the goal of everyone in this material world should be to go back to the spiritual world. Those who are intelligent do not try to elevate themselves to any planet within the material universe. They don't want to go to Moon, Mars, Jupiter, this planet, that planet. No. The intelligent people, the devotees, Krishna Bhakta Vada Chatura. Krishna's devotees are very intelligent. So they don't want to go to anywhere else. Just like, suppose somebody is, suppose there are suppose there are three people, right? One person is giving you 1 kg of gold. Another person is giving you 1 kg of silver. Another person is giving you 1 kg of sand. So what is the real intelligence? You have to choose any one from out of three. An intelligent person, of course, he will go for 1 kg gold. So that is the most valuable, right, compared to silver and the sand. Similarly, the devotees of the Supreme Lord will not settle for any higher planet, will not settle even for Brahmaloka, which is the topmost planet, where in the lifetime is crores and crores of lives, billions of lives together. Is the one lifetime of a living entity in the Satyaloka, in the Brahmaloka. That also a devotee rejects because he knows that eternal life exists in the spiritual world. That's why he wants to elevate himself to the spiritual world, not settling for any other planets in this material universe. If one tries to enter higher planets by mechanical means, instant death is assured, for the body cannot stand the radical changes in its atmosphere. But if one attempts to go to higher planets by means of yoga system, he will acquire a suitable body for entrance. Recently, I was watching a video on the internet, and some person has made a nice video, and he has, I don't know by what means he has calculated, but he has calculated the distance of travel from Earth to Moon, from Earth to Sun, from Earth to Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus, all planets. And one will be shocked to hear that even to go to the nearest planet, it takes around 24 years of travel. Can you imagine? Person has to travel for 24 years to go to a nearest planet. And then to some planet, it takes around 100 years. Some planets, it takes around 200, 300, 400 years, right? So that is why Srila Prabhupada says here, if one tries to enter higher planets by mechanical means, instant death is assured, for the body cannot stand the radical changes in the atmosphere, right? We can see this demonstrated on this earth, for we know it is not possible for us to live in the sea, in a watery atmosphere, nor is it possible for aquatics to live on the earth, right? As we understand that even on this planet, one has to have a particular type of body to live in a particular place. So a particular type of body is required for other planets, right? So just like if you want to live in the water, you require a body which is suitable to live in the water. If you want to live in the sky, you require a suitable body which can live in the sky. If you want to live in the fire, you require a suitable body which can live in the fire. On the higher planets, bodies live much longer than on Earth. For 6 months on Earth is equal to 1 day on the higher planets. Right? Thus, the Vedas describe that those who live on higher planets live upward to 10,000 Earth years. Yet, despite such long lifespan, death awaits everyone. Even if one lives 20,000 or 50,000 or even millions of years in the material world, the years are all counted and death is there. How can we escape the subjugation to death? That is the lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah ajo nityah shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul, there is never birth nor death. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Nor once having been, nayam bhutva, does he ever cease to be bhavita vana bhuyah. For he is unborn, ajo, he is eternal, nityaha, he is ever existing, shashvataha, he is undying, ayam, purano, he is primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. We are spirit soul, and as such, we are eternal. Why then should we subject ourselves to birth and death? Right? Very interesting question that every intelligent person in this world should think about. That we are spirit soul, I am Atma, and I am eternal, then why should I be subject to death, birth, old age, disease? Why? One who asks this question is to be considered intelligent. Those who are Krishna conscious are very intelligent because they are not interested in gaining entrance to any planet where there is death. They will reject a long duration of life in order to attain a body like unto gods. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Tat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of pleasure. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. If we transfer ourselves from this body into the spiritual world, either to Krishna Loka, Krishna's planet, or any other spiritual world, we will receive a similar Satchidananda body. Thus, the aim of those who are in Krishna consciousness is different from those who are trying to promote themselves to higher planets within this material world. So the position of devotees is always greater than that of any other Karmakandiya person or any other yogi. The self or soul of the individual is a minute spiritual spark. The perfection of yoga lies in the transferal of this spiritual spark to the top of the head. Having attained this, the yogi can transfer himself to any planet in the material world according to his desire. If the yogi is curious to know what the moon is like, he can transfer himself there. Or if he is interested in higher planets, he can transfer himself there, just as travelers go to New York, Canada, and other cities on the earth. Wherever one goes on earth, he finds the same visa and customs systems operating. And all the material planets, one can similarly see the principles of birth, old age, disease, and death operating. Om Ityekaksharam Brahma. At point of death, the yogi can pronounce Om, Omkara, the concise form of the transcendental vibration. If the yogi can vibrate this sound at the same time, Manusmara, remember Krishna or Vishnu, he attains the highest goal. It is the process of yoga to concentrate the mind on Vishnu. The impersonalists imagine some form of the Supreme Lord, but the personalists do not imagine this. They actually see. Whether one imagines him or actually sees him, one has to concentrate his mind on the personal form of Krishna. Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashah Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginah. For one who remembers me without deviation, Ananya Cheta Satatam. For one who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. Tasyaham Sulabha Partha, O son of Pratha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha. Those who are satisfied with temporary life, temporary pleasure, and temporary facilities are not to be considered intelligent, at least not according to Bhagavad Gita. So, according to many others in the outside world, the persons, the people who have built nice bungalow, living very costly life, traveling in very costly cars, according to outside people, they may be very intelligent people because only intelligent people can make money in this world, right? So they may think, but according to Bhagavad Gita, actually, those people who gather all the temporary things are fools, are not intelligent. One whose brain substance is very small is interested in temporary things, according to the Gita. Alpa buddhayaha, Krishna says. They are all little intelligent people, people with very less intelligence. We are eternal, so why should we be interested in temporary things? No one wants a permanent situation. If we are living in an apartment and the landlord asks us to vacate, we are sorry. But we are not sorry if we move into a better apartment, right? It is our nature because we are permanent. To want permanent residence, we don't, to want permanent residence is our nature. We don't wish to die because in actuality we are permanent. Nor do we want to grow old or be diseased because these are all external or non-permanent states. Although we are not material, although we are not meant to suffer from fever, sometimes fever comes. And we have to take precautions and remedies to get well again. The fourfold miseries are like a fever, and they are all due to the material body. If somehow we can get out of the material body, we can escape the miseries that are integral with it. For the impersonalist to get out of this temporary body, Krishna here advises that they vibrate the syllable Om. In this way, they can be assured of transmigration into the spiritual world. However, although they may enter the spiritual world, they cannot enter into any of the planets there. They remain outside the Brahma Jyoti. The Brahma Jyoti may be likened unto the sunshine, and the spiritual planets may be likened unto the sun itself. In the spiritual sky, the impersonalists remain in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti. The impersonalists are placed in the Brahma Jyoti as spiritual spark. So, who are the impersonalists? Impersonalists are those who do not believe in the form of the Supreme Lord, who do not believe that God has a form, God has a personality. They believe that God means a kind of energy, impersonal energy. Right? They are called as impersonalists. So these impersonalists may enter the spiritual world, but will remain in this spiritual Brahma Jyoti. They will not enter into any spiritual kingdom. any spiritual planet. The impersonalist are placed in the Brahma Jyoti as spiritual spark, and in this way the Brahma Jyoti is filled with spiritual sparks. This is what is meant by merging into the spiritual existence. It should not be considered that one merges into the Brahma Jyoti in the sense of becoming one with it. The individuality of the spiritual spark is retained, but because the impersonalist does not want to take a personal form, he is found as a spiritual spark in that effulgence. Just as the sunshine is composed of so many atomic particles, so the Brahma Jyoti is composed of so many spiritual sparks. However, as living entities, we want enjoyment. Being in itself being in itself is not enough. We want bliss, ananda, as well as being, sat. In his entirety, the living entity is composed of the three qualities: eternity, knowledge, and bliss, sat, chit, and ananda. Those who enter impersonally into the Brahma Jyoti can remain there for some time in full knowledge that they are now merged homogeneously with the Brahman, but they cannot have the eternal Ananda, bliss, because that part is wanting. One may remain alone in a room for some time and may enjoy himself by reading a book or engaging in some thought, but it is not possible to remain in that room for years and years at a time, and certainly not for all eternity. Therefore, for one who merges impersonally into the existence of the Supreme, there is every chance of falling down again into the material world in order to acquire some association. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam. Astronauts may travel thousands and thousands of miles, but if they do not find rest on some planet, they have to return again to Earth. In any case, rest is required. In the impersonal form, rest is uncertain. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says that even after so much endeavor, if the impersonalist enter into the spiritual world and acquires an impersonal form, he returns again to the material world because of neglecting to serve the Supreme Lord in love and devotion. As long as we are here on earth, we must learn to practice to love and serve Krishna, the Supreme Lord. If we learn this, we can enter into those spiritual planets. The impersonalist position in the spiritual world is non-permanent. For out of loneliness, he will attempt to acquire some association because he does not associate personally with the Supreme Lord. He has to return again to the spiritual world and associate with the conditioned living entities there. So here we stop. Thank you all for joining this session. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhu.